Welcome to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniela Rabbani, and I have the absolute honor and pleasure to be here with Bianca Jade. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to pop right back into the conversation with this open book and open heart. I'm so happy you're here. Bianca Jade is a leading beauty, fitness, and integrative lifestyle influencer, TV host, and wellness personality. She is known for her personal blog, MsFit.com, where Bianca shares her life experiences navigating the health and wellness world with audiences across the nation and amongst her 500,000 followers on social media. Bianca has appeared on outlets such as The Today Show, CBS Morning News, Dr. Oz, Banfield, and regional affiliates across the country, not to mention the Mom Curious podcast here today. Wow, Bianca. She is also a beauty expert and educator and lifestyle guest host on HSN. She also travels the world featuring wellness destinations for healthy travelers. In 2018, Bianca had the foresight to do an egg retrieval. And she shared about it, guys. This is the special sauce and the gratitude I have for you that you did share it. She shared her experience online. My egg freezing story quickly went viral on YouTube, inspiring fertility awareness online and in the media. At 45 Fertility, Bianca officially started her IVF journey and uses her social platforms to advocate for fertility education, wellness, and community, just like we were talking about. Her latest exciting venture with wellness marketing provides women with fertility retreat experience, including resources, information, and coaching needed to navigate their own journey and treatment with confidence. Bianca Jade is also a Jewish activist, which is how we know each other.
Yes.
And is a member of the Tel Aviv Institute and the USA Chair for Impact Israel to uplift at-risk youth trying to rebuild their lives. Bianca Jade, welcome to Mom Curious. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being
honored.
Open book and open heart.
This is a podcast that I'm really grateful that you do because, you know, I think that it lends itself to like the whole range of mothers, because you can be a mom before you're even technically a mom, you know?
Well, you were telling me that, you know, about almost a year ago, you had your first miscarriage.
Yes.
And I think, like, according to family constellations and spirituality, like, you are already a mom. And it doesn't seem like that necessarily to the outside world, but you have had the experience of growing,
right,
holding, loving a child,
right,
a soul that chose you and you chose them. And I honor that experience. I honor the experience of womanhood altogether, and I really appreciate that you see that in me.
right.
That, like, we can mother so many things, that you've already mothered your beautiful community online, your career,
Yes.
your own self. There are so many iterations of mother and that you embody already.
So true. And I feel like that's like, it's such an honest statement, because, you know, before we have our children, your career or your relationship is kind of like your baby, right?
Yep.
And you nurture it. And so even before we give birth to our children, we're practicing that nurturing motherly skill. And I feel like, you know, honing into that is so important. I wish I had known that 10 years ago, because I sort of looked at moms as like a different thing, you know, like I felt it was like a phase of my life that I hadn't entered yet, but really like we're slowly entering it before it really even happens.
Yeah. There is an interesting thing, and part of the reason why I started the show to begin with was because my producer and I have like seemingly different paths. She has no interest in being a mom, and I have 2 children of my own. And yet we're in this life thing together. We're in this creative pursuit together. We're women together. And there's a bizarre divide, I think, between moms and, you know, people who either don't want to be moms, aren't moms yet, something, you know, similar to what you were saying. Like 10 years ago, you were like, motherhood is this other thing.
Right. I think
moms are sometimes like cast out of society.
Yeah, they are. Or it's kind of like, okay, you lived your life, now you're going to be a mom, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like even though, I haven't brought a baby to term yet, I felt like when I was pregnant that I was already like being put into that box, kind of like by my friends. And like, I sort of felt guilty because I'm sure that I had done that to like, my friends when they were pregnant or after they had their kids. And it's, it's an unfair box to be put into because, I feel like our lives begin as a mother, and even just with like planning to get pregnant, like I feel like my life is just beginning. Like there's so much that I look forward to. There's so many changes. There's so many transformations that take place.
Yeah.
And that just like, for example, I had my first mikvah
Mm-hmm.
last night.
Wow. Do you want to tell us what a mikveh is actually?
Yes. I mean, and you might have to help me here because I'm so new to this, but my girlfriend who experienced pregnancy loss at 5 months, she and I have been doing a lot together. And she mentioned to me, she's like, let's go do this. She's like, I did it before my wedding. I didn't do one before my wedding. I wish I had.
It's a ritual bath.
It's a ritual bath. Yeah. And so, but it's also like, it can be like a healing bath or like a purity cleansing bath as well.
It's very similar, and there is some relationship between the mikveh and baptism. I mean, it's a ritual
very
bath.
similar.
Yeah. So you like fully immerse yourself, and it's not just like taking a bath, but you're also sort of cleaning your soul.
Your soul.
Yeah.
And giving
with your intention, essentially.
Yes, and giving of yourself in your most purest form. And that was just like, it was really cool. I feel kind of like a renewed person today, but I'm still like, wow, that was such a crazy experience. Because like you're in this warm bath. It's where I went was like freaking beautiful.
Yeah, it's like it kind of looks like a spa.
Yeah, it's honestly the most gorgeous spa that I've ever been to. The one that I went to.
Whoa, and you've been to some really nice spas.
Yeah. It was pristine. And then you're with an attendant that does these prayers for you, and you kind of explain to the attendant like what you're there for.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like opens up this space within you, within your heart and your mind to allow these things to manifest, to open the channels for it to happen.
So beautiful.
So yeah, I feel like this is all kind of like part of the mom process, and they say visualization is so key as you're trying to get pregnant, like imagining yourself already as the mother before it actually happens.
I really see it. I really do see all this beautiful work that you've been putting
Thank you.
into yourself.
It's definitely been work. It's definitely been work for sure.
I know, because you've been doing your IVF. Is this round 2 that you're going into?
Yeah, it's actually round 3 because round 2 was canceled, which sucked. And like midway through, because you can ovulate too early, and then they want to like cancel it because they don't want to like waste an embryo. So I had that. Number 1 failed. Number 2 got canceled, and I start number 3 officially tonight with the hormones and all of that. So yeah, it's very exciting, and
we're just giving you all.
I know, give
love.
me like all,
oh my God.
all the good energy, all the good vibes. I'm gonna say like I feel like this is my time.
Yeah.
So I'm pouring all of that like just like positive energy into this month of my life, which also happens to be my anniversary month. So I feel like there's a lot of meaning there.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And you were saying that you guys have been together for 11 years, but married for 1.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I think I'm a classic New Yorker, and I would say that my husband probably is too. I don't want to speak for him, but that classic New Yorker's always like seeing what else is around the corner. Like if something else better is going to pop up. And I met Joseph, my husband, at a time when I felt like so wronged by so many men.
Yeah.
And I was like coming into my confidence in my mid-30s, which like I really didn't have any of that like good female confidence up until probably really 40. But I was coming into it, and he was just like such a sweet guy. But he was also like he was like not where I wanted him to be life-wise.
Yeah.
And so I think I wasn't sure. And he also grew up in a family that was divorced. And so for him, he wasn't sure that he wanted to get married. So we were kind of like, we were in a relationship, but we were never like solidifying anything.
Wow.
And then the pandemic happened and we quarantined together, and it sort of just became obvious. He said this whole thing at our wedding where he said he knew that I was ready to get married when I DM'd him a picture of a ring from like, he was sitting in the living room of my apartment. I was in the bedroom and I DM'd him a picture and he was like, okay, this is happening now.
Oh my God. That's so cute. But so while you guys were together, you had the foresight to be like, whether or not this is the guy I want to freeze my eggs?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in therapy for most of my life just because
Ditto.
yeah.
Just because you got it.
Just because I love it. And also I was a psychology major at Cornell. So I always knew like the benefit of being in therapy and that there are no taboos, or anything. So I always was openly in therapy, and my therapist was like getting concerned that, about my fertility and, that, I hadn't found the one yet. And she was like, my daughters did it. She's like, I really want you to just consider this.
Love this therapist, love.
Yeah.
That's like the kind of therapist you want, is like someone who like is, out of nowhere will be like, so I've been thinking about this.
Oh, she
like really cares about you and knows that you'd be a really great mom.
Right.
And is like, and I'm putting all the pieces together.
Yeah. The most opinionated therapist I ever had. She actually coached me through breaking up with my husband.
Great.
When we were dating, and then allowing me to like figure out like what I wanted in my life. And then she coached me through getting back together with him and buying a home together and like I really owe her for so much. She was like a life coach more than she was a therapist and a life coach. But yeah, she gave me the name of her daughter's doctor, and he ended up being like this really famous doctor that gets like, I don't know, I think he told me he's gotten like 40,000 women or 40,000 babies.
So are you talking about Celine Dion's doctor from Cornell?
No.
Okay,
well, I don't know.
I went there.
I don't know who she had, but my doctor's Spandorfer.
No, not him.
Okay.
I didn't go there. But I remember you mentioning that in one of your, I think, reels or I don't know. But in my research. And I was like, when I had a miscarriage also very early on, and my mother was like freaking out. She was like, "You got to go to Celine Dion's doctor, and he gets everyone pregnant." And actually, when I was there, I would get my blood drawn, and I asked the nurses. I was like, what are the chances that I'll make a baby? And she's like, we always find a way to bring a baby here.
My doctor said I could be 80 and he could still get me pregnant.
That's right. And she said the only hurdle we ever come across is when it's the husband's or the man's infertility. Those are the only times where we really find serious obstacles. But she was so certain. And then I went in and they thought they saw like a polyp. And that was my son. And he's 7.5
Oh, wow.
now.
Aww.
I was like pregnant, just sort of
that's amazing. So you didn't have to do
I hesitate to say naturally, actually. I don't know, is that offensive to say I got pregnant naturally? Everything's natural.
No, it is. I mean, I would say IVF is not natural.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got pregnant naturally. And
right.
it's not offensive at all.
Thank you.
I feel like saying that you had an IVF baby, actually, like, I like when women say this because it takes away any of the like embarrassment or any of the just like, that you had to do something special or extra work. And it just kind of like makes it feel more like lighter. You know what I mean?
It's normal.
These days it's totally normal. When I went to Israel the first time in January of this year, we went to this Muslim village I forget the name of it, but it's in Israel, and we cooked with this woman that had done a lot for her Jewish neighbors, and had really had like a warm relationship with her, her Jewish neighbors, and had done a lot to help people that were like fighting the war. So she welcomed us into her home, and she talked about how she had trouble having a baby. She even worked in a baby shop because she thought like a little baby's clothing store, because she thought that would help her get pregnant.
Did it?
And no. And finally she was like, F this, like I'm doing IVF. And this is a woman like in traditional garb, who looks like would never do anything like highly scientific. And she pulled me aside and she talked to me about her IVF experience. And I was like, how cool. Like I'm in this village in Israel, like, this woman, like this Arabic woman is, an Arab and a Jew talking about IVF. Like it's bonding.
It's so bonding. And it's hard because I think it's also natural. Like, God made IVF, like
right.
God made medicine.
Or God made people smart enough to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, like I used to be so against any interventions. Like I have ADHD and I have PCOS and I never took any medicine for it. And I look back and I'm like, why did I waste all that time suffering through these terrible symptoms for both? Like there are medicines that my doctors would be like, but like take medicine. Like I could. I don't know what the holdup was, and I don't know this perfectionism that we thrust on women is. It's like there's nothing unnatural. It's like when people say that like C-sections are not natural births. That's why I asked the question. It's like, of course, you're bringing life into the world. There's nothing unnatural about it.
And every woman is really unique. The way that she wants to have her baby is, I think is very unique. That's what I've, learned. Like I sort of know how I want things to happen for me, but there are other women that are like, they don't want the epidural. They want to do it completely natural. They want the doula or whatever. Like everyone is so, they have their ways. And I think that's what I believe to be so beautiful about this process I hope to be going through very soon.
I really feel like you are so dropped in. And I'm wondering what you attribute that to, your presence and your confidence and your sort of, I don't know, you have this beautiful, glowing aura about you. And I think a lot of people constrict in these experiences, and I'm not feeling
I think it's
for you at all.
I think, and this is going to sound weird, but I think it's pain. I think pain can really help you focus, because a lot of people, when they haven't like gone through shit, like they don't know how to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? And I had a significant amount of pain over the past year with the pregnancy loss, but like even just with October 7th and a lot of the consequences of, my speaking out, and but also like, with my relationships too. And somehow, and I'm so grateful for it, but that pain and that need to rebuild and keep it together, like really built up my strength, but also my confidence of what I was gonna further tolerate or just like kind of remove entirely from my life. So if you sense any of that, I would attribute it all to pain. And that's why I think, there's this saying of like, God gives us all of these challenges to make us stronger. And that's really like what it is. Like, I feel like people that have such easy lives, like, I don't know if they're like so like dialed in or like self-aware, because everything comes easy. They don't have to do that introspective work. So my rabbi, he told me the other day, because I was like dealing with something so annoying and I was complaining to him, and he was like, Bianca, we are never grateful when things are going well. He's like, but when things are hitting the fan, when things feel really hard, that is when you have to practice the most gratitude, because this is when you're getting all the good stuff that is going to build you up to be the person who you are to become. And that stuck with me. Like, that really hit home with me. So now, like, when all the bad starts coming in, I'm just like releasing. I'm not releasing. I'm
emanating.
You are. Gratitude.
it's really interesting to be in your presence in this moment, in this day, this very holy day, because I can feel it so acutely.
Oh,
And
I'm
it's
glad.
so interesting because you're like a professional beauty expert, and you are so beautiful.
Oh,
Really,
thank
in this
you.
moment, like you're always beautiful, like you're really pretty, but but there's another level, and I think
Right.
it's so profound to attribute it to pain because it is a part of life.
It's a huge part of life, um and you have to accept it because we'll all be there, at some point at like a painful, you know, turning point in our lives or whatever. I mean, you're gonna find it. So like learning how to navigate it and like be okay with it and like cry your tears and all of that. I mean, I found ways to overcome it, and I went to Israel twice, which was so good for me. And and it opened up all these other opportunities for me to give back that wouldn't have happened had I not started a healing journey, but also a journey to help heal others.
Wow.
And that's what my fertility wellness retreat that I'm working on, that launches officially sometime midweek.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what that's all about, because like I'm not gonna like let the fact that I went through this pregnancy loss and fertility journey, like I'm not gonna just like let that be a part of my past. Like how my thought was like, how can I package this to take everything that I learned and everything that that I gained from it to help women that are struggling, so they don't have to like, kind of like jump through all these, these jump over all these hurdles or through these hurdles, whatever the saying is,
they'll have to jump through hoops either way, but like it's
right. But
if we could be a mentor of sorts and
but they'll
clear
jump
the
through
path.
with me holding their hand.
Right.
And if you can imagine or think back to a time in your life when you were going through something really tough, and yeah, you had to get through it, but someone was holding your hand.
Yeah.
And that made it all the more easy. So, yeah, I think, that's like part of it, is healing through helping others heal. I just never thought I was going to start a new business venture from it. But it's fun and exciting to see where this lands.
I love it. It's like the ultimate pain to purpose,
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned how open you are, and I love that. And I'm so sensitive to.
Are you not open? Are you?
Oh, I'm really open.
Okay.
But I also recently have closed off more because I received so much hate online that I really was frightened. So I think it's beautiful that you stay open. But
Yeah,
I also think that there are assholes online. There tons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people following you. Many of them are so supportive. I mean, most of them, I would assume.
Yeah, it fluctuates. It fluctuates based on what's going on in the world, or like based on whether my content is funny or, positive. Like, if my content is not agreeable to a large portion of my followers, then like the
lash
love
out.
and the affinity will change. But, it fluctuates.
But you don't take it personally.
No, I don't. If anything, I sometimes like to challenge people on it or ask them more about like why they didn't like what I posted or like what I said. And I use it as an opportunity to learn their perspective. But sometimes it turns out well, and sometimes it turns out with me blocking them. It really just depends,
The one time that I saw that you did take offense was when people offer unsolicited advice around your fertility journey.
Someone told me to just adopt a child.
It was just someone, or it was several people?
It was, well, I had heard it before, but it was someone that I knew personally, and he was like,
Oh, someone you knew personally, so you
yeah,
felt comfortable with you.
yeah, and not a good friend though, but like someone that I know well enough to like hug on the street,
Sure.
right? But we're not like BFs or anything. And he was like, he's like, it seems like a waste, all the stuff you're doing. Why don't you just adopt? And I had just my first embryo transfer had failed, and I was angry. Um, and I do kind of regret how I dealt with it because,
Oh, with that
yeah,
response?
I was angry. I was angry from the failed embryo transfer, and like if I were to respond to him today, like it would have been totally different. But he
Oh,
caught me at a really sensitive time, so my response was like angry, like don't ever tell anyone like how to approach their fertility journey.
but I took that advice.
Right, right. But I probably would have responded differently just because he doesn't understand.
He just doesn't understand.
And I have to
And he
like
can't understand.
no, he can't understand. And there's so many reasons why he doesn't understand, which I won't go into right now, but I was really emotional. And I think that's the problem with social media is like it's really hard like not to easily blow up at people. But I do think that like sharing my response was like valid because that was like it was how I was feeling in that time. And if someone
In a vulnerable state,
right,
and where you were sharing, I mean, we were off camera, and you really honestly shared that if you don't open your heart and your story, barely anyone does, and people will feel more and more alone.
yeah, it doesn't come off as authentic. And so I give people 100% what I am, whether I'm going through a good or bad time in my life. Right now, I'm at a really good point. So people are getting like a lot of funny content, a lot of like, warm and bubbly things for me. But like when I'm not in my best time, like I share that too. And not for the likes and the views, just because I do think of my social media as a live diary, which a lot of Instagram and TikTok experts will tell you never to do that that's totally a bad idea because it's not good in a commercial way. But for me, it's always been like, this is like, I'm documenting my life here. And often I'll be in the street, walking like in Soho or something, and someone will come up to me that like I know, maybe not like in an intimate way, but they'll be like, "Oh, I saw your post about this, and like I hope you're doing okay." And I'm actually like really comforted by that. Like I'm comforted that like they know this personal detail about my life and they're wishing me well. And that's the cool part of being open.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people, will judge you. They will judge you for, what makes them jealous or what angers them or your political point of view, whatever. Like you're gonna get judged for it, and they'll hold it against you forever. But whatever.
I took that moment as education, actually, where I thought, if I am in relation with someone who's going through fertility journey, I don't have to offer my 2 cents. I could just be there and listen.
And that's what we should do. I think when someone's going through a tough fertility journey is just listen, because their decisions are their decisions and we're not there, to chime in. We're there to support. And that's what we should do, because the only one making the decision should be, the people having the baby and the doctor.
Yeah.
That's helping them in their process. So
yeah.
When I get pregnant, and I say when because it's going to happen, I decided this time around that I'm not telling my parents until like we're far enough along.
Tell me why. Yeah.
I just don't want anyone telling me their opinion or their thoughts or checking in on me. Like I just want to experience it solo. And get to a point where I feel safe enough that this is going to be, a healthy pregnancy. Because when you go through the loss, like you know how to protect yourself in the future, but I did tell my parents the day we found out, and I kind of felt like stressed by it.
Yeah.
I felt stressed by other people knowing before we were in the clear zone.
It's a really intense experience to be the vessel for everyone's hopes and dreams.
Right. And
it's like I am a body, I'm a person, I'm me. And I'm also my parents' grandchild's mother. And it's a heavy weight until you're ready to lift it, because they're one step at a time. It's like you have to take care of yourself first.
Right. And you also have
and
to
your
set
child
boundaries.
Yeah.
And with that, someone might be like, oh, how can you be really open but also set boundaries? And that's really easy, actually.
Tell us.
So you don't have to be a private person to like set boundaries and tell people like, hey, you can't enter the space. This is my space. This is where I feel protected and I don't need anybody's, opinion. And it's just totally possible, because those boundaries, like AKA loving limits, need to be set with people, because sometimes people don't know that they're harming you or they're making you feel a certain way or bringing like toxic energy into your safe space. They just don't know. And I've always said to people, like, I don't believe people are toxic. I believe relationships and situations are toxic. But I really, really don't believe people are toxic. I don't know. Maybe that's me, like, wanting to give people the benefit of the doubt. But
I think it's worth giving people the benefit of the doubt for the most part, unless they prove themselves otherwise, But calling people toxic is an interesting thing, because it's like toxic is like deadly, like, there are definitely those, they exist. Probably not your parents, but
right, yeah.
But in
well,
this
your
situation,
parents can be toxic to you. Like when I mean, I have, my mother is a Latina woman, and my father is he comes from a Russian Jewish background, and my mom did convert, so she has like double the like the intensity. But that combination of parents, that's like a lot, because there's really like there's a lot that they expect from me, and like they're kind of like in my business a lot, you know what I mean? So, and that's okay. Like I have nothing to hide from my parents or my family, but like sometimes you just need your loved ones to like give you space to breathe so that you can do your thing, and trust that you can do your thing. Because a lot of times our parents like don't trust us.
Yeah.
They want us to do things the way they did them, and they don't realize that we develop our own patterns.
Yeah, I think that's a big change in like the parenting dynamic, like the way we parent our children and the way we've been parented, for sure.
Yeah.
I also think like, the way the lineage goes is that my parents are here and I'm in the middle here, and then we have children. But if it gets all mushy, like if they're in my womb, if they're too close up in my space, like it's full. I'm trying to.
Right.
And I love that you mentioned it, because I often on this podcast will talk about my relationship with my parents. They're amazing people that I just couldn't feel that loving exchange for such a long time, because they were overbearing.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I had my own children that I saw their relationship, that I could find my feet like as the mother, that now I'm like so in love with my parents in a way that there wasn't enough space.
Can't wait to get to that point.
I'm so excited for you. Like I really am so in love with them in a way that I genuinely just couldn't be. Right. Like I needed to create the boundary that was not naturally
and now there's
there between
someone
us.
else there that they can love and that they can give their love to, which takes a little bit of the pressure off of you. Yeah, I look forward to being in that, having that relationship with my parents where Because my parents are great parents. They're
Of course.
they're
Look at
so
you.
supportive.
They did a great job.
Yeah, I love them. But, sometimes when you are going through something really, stressful that takes a lot out of you, like being on an IVF journey, you just need to command, your own space and create your own vessel, because you're about to be a vessel. So you need like a vessel with like all the nurturing possible.
This is the mothering. Like, this is what happens.
Yes.
Like, you're becoming the mother,
Right.
Mm-hmm. This is like the process.
And I tried everything. Like, I did Reiki. I've done lymphatic drainage massage. I've done all this self-care stuff on a mental, physical level, just to like experience it all and see like, okay, does this work for me? Like, even the mikvah was like part of that. And I struggled a little bit with the mikvah. Like, I had a hard time visualizing in the bath, but I feel like everything you try to help better yourself like brings you a little bit closer to like how to heal yourself, right? Like, I was like, okay, why am I struggling so much with visualizing, my baby in my arms while I'm in this like beautiful, like, blessed ritual bath? Why am I struggling with it? And it made me think a lot. Like, I went to bed last night thinking about it and thinking about working on my visualization. So I really think if anyone is listening that's like going through a similar type of journey, it's so much practice and persistence and not giving up. I had a lot of friends that gave up on their pregnancy journey and then just decided they weren't going to have kids. And I wonder if like, if they'll regret it. But for myself, what I know is that I will regret not trying till the like last drop in me. And if it comes to that, then like fine, like I'll take the dude's advice and adopt. I have nothing against adoption.
Oh yeah, I have friends who adopt and they're just like so incredibly in love with their children.
Yeah,
like,
I have
it's
nothing,
so beautiful.
I have nothing against it. But I have 3 embryos in the bank.
Let's do this.
And it's like, let's do this. Let's make it happen. Let's see what turns out.
I can't wait to follow your journey to fruition.
Thank you.
To seeing you with that baby in your arms. I'm so excited for you. And I'm hoping that you'll let us know where we can follow you so we can all just send you all that love and support. And also if there are people who need that love and support.
Yeah, I want to be a beacon for that as much as I can. I think, as far as sharing, people can always follow me on the gram, Bianca Jade. It's super easy to find. But also in terms of the fertility wellness retreats, I'll have that also on my social media, but also my website, misfit.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniela Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniela Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast, produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.